everyone. Welcome to my fourth tarot reading. It is the eve before we launch GPS Astrology magazine online, which is also the Leo-Aquarius full moon, tomorrow being August the 11th, 2022. So it is Wednesday night, August 10th, 2022. You will see the High Priestess, the Empress, and the Sun. Why am I showing these cards out? We're going to do a reading in a couple minutes. This reading connects up to this full moon. And when you start looking at the amazing GPS Astrology magazine online designed by my daughter, Katja Juliet Lerner, our inaugural issue will be quarterly. I think you'll find it really, really fascinating. By the way, our website, www.greatbearenterprises.com, you'll be able to go and see GPS Astrology on the homepage in a couple places, and the magazine, the first edition, which is coming out over 70 pages, beautifully designed online, should be available sometime starting August 11th and August 12th. And why are these cards out? I've been thinking about the fact that it's very interesting with the 22 Major Arcana. Even though the tarot goes back thousands of years, it emerged, as most of us know, around the late 1300s, early 1400s, particularly in France and Europe. And of course, there are 22 of these major cards. And interestingly, even though we did not discover Uranus, Neptune, Pluto until 1781, 1846, and 1930, conveniently, we have 12 signs of the zodiac, and we have the sun and moon, and there are 8 planets, if we do not consider the 4 main asteroids, which my wonderful teacher brought out an ephemeris for, Eleanor Bach. She's going to be in GPS Astrology as well. She passed away 27 years ago, bless her soul. But she's the one who came out with the asteroid ephemeris, the first one in hardcover on Ceres, Pallas Athena, Juno and Vesta back in 1973. So much more on her in GPS Astrology, on my website, in my podcasts at Astroscope, at greatbearenterprise.com. There's actually 100 of those podcasts over the last couple of years. Anyway, back to the story here. So we've got the sun and moon. We've got 8 main planets, Mercury out through Pluto. So that's 10 celestial bodies and 12 zodiacal signs, making up a kind of miraculous 22 zodiacal signs and celestial bodies. However, of course, we have Ceres, Pallas, Juno, and Vesta, 4 main asteroids discovered between 1801 and 1807. We have Chiron, discovered in 1977. Now we have Sedna and Eris, which were discovered back around 2003, 2005. Now we have other planets out there. We have Quaoar, we have Makemake, we've got Haumea, we've got Varuna, we've got Orcus, and so many others. And plus, there are many other centaur bodies like Chiron. We've got Pholos, and we've got many others. And we keep adding more and more celestial bodies. So the question is, I was thinking, and this is partly also for the launch of GPS Astrology, I had a thought, okay, the High Priestess is normally connected to the moon, or the moon is said to rule this card. The next card is the Empress, and that's always been connected to Venus. Now, many years ago, a woman who is a fantastic psychotherapist, psychiatrist, not an astrologer, Dr. Jean Shinoda-Bolen. Dr. Jean Shinoda-Bolen. So look her up on Wikipedia, Amazon, so on. She wrote a fantastic book. This is like several decades ago. Goddesses in EveryWoman, with EveryWoman, one word. And she proposed, this is through her studies of her clients, women clients, this is independent of astrology, that 7 main goddess archetypes seem to define women in different ways. And she found that women were more connected to one archetype or another, and she wrote all about that. By the way, she then wrote a sequel called Gods and Everyman, Everyman being a single title, and did the same thing with 7 different god archetypes like Mars and Jupiter and so on. Now, she used the Greek names, so she would use Zeus instead of Jupiter. She would be talking about, in terms of the goddesses, she wouldn't be talking about Juno, the Roman name. She'd talk about Hera, if you get those books, and they're fantastic. So here's my proposal, and then I'm going to do a little reading here. The sun is out because we're about to have a full moon, and it's the sun in Leo and the moon in Aquarius. And since the High Priestess relates to the moon, we've got kind of the full moon energy surrounding the Empress. And I'll get to that in a moment about the US chart and the largest asteroid, Ceres or Demeter. Okay, so my proposal is, it's just a suggestion, that if you are getting into astrology, the asteroids, Chiron, and so on, what I'm proposing, according to Dr. Jean Shinoda-Bolen, is we know that Venus is the main planetary body connected to the Empress. That's one of the 7 main goddess archetypes. She uses the name Aphrodite, and she calls Venus Aphrodite the alchemical goddess, which is really fascinating because the one book I wrote back in 1986 is Mysteries of Venus, which is out of print. So when I read Dr. Jean Shinoda-Bolen, it was really fascinating that she said of the 7 goddess archetypes, Venus or Aphrodite had a special energy. And so many of our clients were more Venus or Aphrodite connected, and she explained why that was related to alchemical processes, particularly for women. Now, the moon, okay, is considered the energy ruling the High Priestess. Now think about this. The High Priestess is independent, singular. The Empress is more of a married figure, okay? So in the 4 main asteroids, we have Ceres, who is a mother figure, okay, in its archetypes astrologically, and we have Juno, which is more of a partner-wife energy in terms of empowerment and relationship. So what my proposal is that under the Empress, aside from Venus, depending on your chart and your energies, if you're combining tarot and astrology and the asteroids, since we don't have a place for the asteroids, we don't have a place for Chiron due to the fact that there are 12 zodiacal signs and there are 10 main celestial bodies, Sun, Moon, and Mercury out through Pluto, where do we put these other energies? So if the Empress comes up, it's not only Venus, but to me, it's also Juno and Ceres because they represent feminine archetypes of mothering and nurturing and also partnering, as well as Persephone, the daughter of Ceres, because if this is a card, if the Venus Empress card is also Ceres and Juno, because Persephone is the daughter of Ceres, I propose that Persephone, which was one of the 7 goddess archetypes in Dr. Jean Shinoda-Bolen's storyline, they all go there. Now, what about the High Priestess? She is more of a singular figure, and that relates to the moon, or what she also calls Artemis. There I relate Pallas Athena and Vesta, because Pallas Athena is the daughter archetype, as the daughter of Zeus, Jupiter, as well as Vesta, or Hestia, who is a priestess energy, who is also unmarried, shall we say, singular. So to me, the High Priestess relates to the moon. It relates also, if you're thinking of a Pallas Athena archetype, it could be this card, the High Priestess. If you're dealing with Vesta issues or Hestia issues, depending on whether you use the Roman or the Greek, then Vesta would also fit under the High Priestess. And again, as I said, just to reiterate, under the Empress, traditionally connected to Venus, I propose Ceres, also known as Demeter, Persephone, the daughter, although we might battle about whether Persephone could connect up to, say, a card like Judgment, that's often connected to Pluto, since in the mythology, Persephone was said to be stolen into the underworld by Pluto or Hades. So there's a connection that we might say Judgment might relate to both Pluto, Hades, as well as Persephone. And of course, you have your own ideas. I'm just proposing this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shuffle the cards here. I don't know if they're going to line up as straight as they just were, because that's one issue. I will do my best to do that and see if I'm shuffling the deck here, just so you know. And 3 cards, I'm going to choose 3 cards and do a quick reading. We're struggling with how long can these sessions be. So I'm trying to keep everything a little bit short to make sure my daughter, Katya, who's also the managing editor of GPS Astrology magazine coming out tomorrow, that she's able to load these up. And when they're too long, we have all these problems. Okay, so I'm just going to choose, I'm going to keep them face down. So this is the first one, and I'll straighten this out in a second. Here's the second one. And here's the third one. Okay, let's see if this is reasonably straight. Oh, not too bad. Okay, so this relates to the full moon, what I just said, as some ideas. Go back to the other podcasts I did for my history of bringing the original, this is again a David Palladini deck, what's called the New Palladini deck. It's the sequel to the Aquarian Tarot. And if you go back to the first podcast, I explained how I wrote the original Aquarian Tarot back in 1976 using a magnificent chart from going to Samuel Weiser bookstore and then bringing the cards there. And miraculously, Eileen Caddy, one of the main founders at Fintorn, stopped giving guidance. And then I started doing some readings for her. Okay, here we go. The Three of Rods shows up. Okay, this looks like a guardian figure, could be female or male. We see a crescent moon here, so a moon building. There's a ship in the background, flowering rods. I find this fascinating. Why? When you look at the cover of what we've done and what Katya has designed, there's an immense triangle for GPS astrology connected to the Great Bear, the 7 main stars of the Big Dipper connected to the Great Bear constellation, the 7 main sisters of the Pleiades, even though I think there's 9 or 11 actual stars in that star cluster, and then Ceres, the dog star, the brightest star in the sky. This all connects up to my work at Lucis Trust, the Arcane School, Alice Bailey, her teacher, the Tibetan Master DK. When you open the pages of GPS Astrology, when you go to my podcast and Great Bear Enterprise, you'll see so much of my work related to these spiritual centers. So here we have a triangular energy at the beginning with a kind of beautiful design guardian and a boat that's sailing. And recently, and both in the past when I did Welcome to Planet Earth, I often would talk to people about getting on board and traveling. I'm a sun sign, water sign. My daughter Katya, my second born daughter, she is a Cancerian, so we're both water signs. So this is a very beautiful image, and I love that this figure is in green, which is a color of the earth, and is flowing into the ground here, and the 3 flowering rods. Well, now we've got the 8 of Cups. This is extraordinary. See, there's a full moon. There's a person with a staff. It's actually the first figure, which is a kind of guardian almost of the sky world, because in the first card, you see the starry sky. Now we have more of a grayish sky. There's clouds. There's a full moon. We see 8 of Cups. We know that 8 is a power number, and we just had 8-8, okay? And August is the 8th month. We see the same figure now is more hunched over, walking away. We had a sort of side view of this figure connected to the earth with the 3 of Rods. And now we see kind of an older kind of vibration. Now remember, I did Welcome to Planet Earth magazine 41 years ago. My daughter, who's now managing, was a baby at that time. Now it's 41 years later, and we're doing this incredible virtual experiment. And 8 is a power number. So let's see what comes up. You can't make this up, can you? I shuffled the cards. Why would this happen? I mean, 3, the triangle, the Venus symbol, the Empress. I mean, what words can possibly top this? So again, this is the magic of Tarot. It's the magic of astrology. And I'm going to have to end here because I don't want this to be too long. And let's just see. It's pretty straight. You just saw what I did, folks. There was no sleight of hand. So it's humorous. I find it very comforting. And we're flying by the seat of our pants. We're creating a great experiment with GPS Astrology. Please go visit. Subscribe to that. Tell your friends about what we're doing here with YouTube. And we've got plenty of all kinds of complementary areas at Great Bear Enterprises. You'll love the authors. There'll be new contributing authors at our next GPS Astrology magazine, which will come out at the full moon of October 9th, Sun in Libra, Moon in Aries. And please do visit www.greatbearenterprises.com. By the way, I'm going to be on with Christy Walsh on her show, Surfing the Psychic Waves, on SoundCloud on August 24th. And then I'll be on with Rex Bear on his Leak project on August 30th. And on September 8th, the night before Mercury goes into a 3-week retrograde cycle, I will be on Coast to Coast. And there will be a full page in GPS Astrology via the coming interviews. So this is really exciting. These are the cards. Love and blessings to everybody. Have a great full moon, and we'll see you the next time. Bye for now.